Okay.
right? So I then collected, I researched stone spheres. I researched when they fell from the ground. They fell from the ground in 1921. Um, it was a few, they fell for 4 months from the sky.
Hmm.
Um, so
So these are volcanic ash covered orbs that are falling from the sky.
they, yeah, but this is, they can be volcanic ash. They can be
What?
cosmic particle.
Okay.
So basically, they can be fused chemicals from chemtrails if you get the right type of
Ah,
light in.
yes.
You
Okay.
see what I mean? So the chemical
Yes.
and particles that stick to the charge of the orb, and lightning strikes it. Now we all ball lightning is lightning striking an orb rather than the earth.
Yes. Makes
You get
sense.
so if there was a dust storm, a desert dust storm blown up
Like
into,
this one in Arizona that's been
right?
on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if there was a desert dust storm, right? Lightning, because of the silica holding charge, striking, striking an orb,
Hmm.
fuses the dust to the surface. Now you can take those, right? There's very interesting Hopi mythology about Mocky marbles, which are the spheres that they call concretions, right? It's
Okay.
their spirits of their ancestors come to visit and play with them.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So you've got now a modern day idea of orbs, which are spirits, and you've got a Hopi idea that a fused sphere, which is an orb, is also a spirit of their ancestor. Now,
Hmm.
I'm not saying that I can't offer a comment on it. Do you know what I mean? I just,
Yes.
it's too weird. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But
Yes. You
then
won't go that far. Yes.
but when I found it, when I now I got some of these samples from the Utah, and I had them. One of my work colleagues cut them down, put them on the spectrum microscope, prepared the thin sections. I gave it to our senior geologist, and I said, "I'll make a." First I showed him the sphere. Now these sphere, the one that I'd chosen was the hollow one, right? And I
Uh,
can explain why they're hollow, and why that can't be a concretion. But
okay.
I don't really want to go into all that. That's it, it just
That's
takes us
fine.
off.
Yeah. Takes us on a
Um,
too big of a diversion. Yes.
yeah,
So back
because
to
what
your
with these,
theory.
so that's the theory. So, but what happens is that if it's forming stone spheres, did it form planets?
Yes. Yes.
Now, if you take the moon, if Icarus, I think it's Icarus or Icarus, it's got three 200-kilometer rings around its circumference. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know how it forms. Those
Mm-hmm.
rings I've seen on orbs many, many times. Saturn has the pentagram or hexagram. I've seen those in the orbs.
Mm, mm, mm.
You know the ring on Mimas and the
Yes.
so-called impact crater. If you have a look at that properly with detail, you will see that it isn't a circular impact crater. It has edges to it, and those edges are
Huh.
seen in orbs. So you've got to look at the detail properly. You can say,
Yes.
oh, it's an impact crater, but if you look at it, you will see the shadow on Mimas. Go into the moon Mimas and have a look at it and zoom into the best quality you can get, and you will see light and shadow there. And that light and shadow suggests it's not circular.
Mm.
And so we have planets forming on the sphere of charge. So
Wow.
we have fractal string theory, we
Mm-hmm.
have fractal orbs,
Yeah.
and we have fractal planets, and we have
Yeah.
fractal orb planets, and we have Mocky marbles, and we have Mimas, and we have the hollow moon as well.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to ask you about
Yeah.
the hollow moon and also the cosmic egg mythology and the expanding Earth theory.
Yeah. And that is so you have to go back to I'll take you back a little bit because of and I'll take you back even further as well if I can find. I got a little bit of paper here that I want to just reference.
Okay.
So the redshift by Houghton CR, right? He was the one who discovered the redshift differentials. So what he's come up with is that the center of spiral galaxies produce matter. So they're spinning points. So they're spinning points on a field that have always, his conclusion is that they've always existed, and that obviously that program is well worth looking at. And the peculiar galaxy NGC 7603 is worth looking at because you can have a look at it, but have a look at his work just to try and grasp it. Anyway, what he's suggesting is exactly what the Sumerians talked about in the Enuna Elish, which is the creation story. So anyway, in the Enuna Elish, we have Zachariah Sitchin's take on it, and it's nothing more than the Illuminati trying to mislead us. We've been misled through science. Newton was an occultist. Newtonian occultism is well known. He suffered with his mental health. So we're building the whole universe on a man who was an occultist, and it's not, when you're seeking truth, you can't go seeking personal power of the occult. You know what I mean?
Very, very, very true, Paul.
You just can't, because it becomes your truth and your ego grows through it. So anyway, in the Enuna Elish, there's the two of the sort of starting gods, other than the serpents, which are the waves, as I've talked about, called Ansar and Kishar. And in L.W. King's translation, or the current translations, the Wikipedia translation or whatever, Ansar and Kishar is the Kishar being the Earth pivot, and Ansar being the pivot in the heavens, or the sky pivot. So you can type those in and you can see that. So these are the creative forces. Now this is what Chip Arp is saying, the same thing. The spiraling fields or the spiral galaxy is producing the universe.
Yeah.
So we have the spiral, which these points of energy spiraling output orbs, bars, waves, serpents, whatever you want to call them. They actually are the creator out breath.
Yes.
Right. So now you have Ansar and Kishar, and so this is a brother-sister gods. So we don't understand what they're gods are. If it's a sky pivot and an earth pivot, they are rotational fields. The one was the rotational field before the Earth started. The other was the one with before this universe. They're not talking about this universe. They're not talking about all the other universes, because they were all doing their own thing, and they were in different stages. So Ansar and Kishar, the brother-sister union, created Anun, as in the heavens, and Ki as the earth, right?
Okay.
So Anun and Ki, the brother sister, this union of Anun and Ki, which is the earth, and the heavens, which were formed on the spiral or the earth sky pivot, gave rise to the Anunnaki. So what I would say is, I can't answer what that is, but I would say that it's part of the cosmic tree. So the Anunnaki are not beings from, they are part of the fields of energy or parts of the cosmic tree that holds the whole structure together. If I had
Yeah.
if I had to stab a point at it, but
Mhm.
anyway, it's the T is the earth, and the noon is the heavens.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
and they're a brother sister gods, but basically they're the sky pivots and the earth
Mhm.
pivot that forms the mass on those pivots, through the charge of the sphere, which creates the planet.
Mhm.
So so is that taking you any further into the answer of that question, or?
Yes. But I want to go back to the hollow moon because that's been such a hot topic lately with David
Yeah,
Icke and everything.
yeah,
But you were explaining it in terms of orb. Could you
yeah,
just clarify that, for us?
right. So
Because I think
some
that's
of
an important point.
yeah, so some of these some of these points. So this point of energy now, the Earth pivot, is the thing
Mhm.
that gives the expanding Earth its expansion.
Okay.
Right, so
Yes.
that's your expanding Earth. It's on a point of energy, which is on a field. It's always been there, and the Earth, it's in the center of the Earth. And that
Mhm.
point of energy actually pushes creative breath or creative energy. Let's call it creative energy. It doesn't matter what the language is, but it pushes energy into existence from that point. But eventually, and this is something that probably Cliff hasn't considered, is it also pulls energy back into itself once the
Mm.
breath is on the in breath. So I would say that the sun is actually been contracting recently,
Mm.
rather than expanding, and that is the mechanism that's giving us our solar minimum.
Okay.
Roughly,
Okay.
I can't say that.
Yeah.
So back to the moon, right?
Yes.
There's a document. I've tried to contact Dr. Robert T. Mason, and he's written an article. I can't get hold of him, and the article is actually, paper has actually disappeared. But I did download a copy of it before it disappeared. He was well into his years, so I don't know whether
Mm.
he's still alive or anything.
Mhm.
His work was called The Divine Serpent in Myth and Legend, by Dr. Robert T. Mason. The sky serpent who formed all the observable heavenly planets. Right,
Mhm.
so that's one of the quotes from his research. So in
Mhm.
one sense, both powerful gods of light and darkness are seen as serpents. He's just saying that they deliver positive, negative energy. This may have some connection to the linking of the snake to the moon in the mythological areas. So basically, what I'm saying is that as the wave coming into the serpent, uh,
Mhm.
that takes an egg into its mouth, which is the start of the wave, and
Yeah.
pushes it out of, does it push it out of its mouth? Takes it into its tail, pushes it out of its mouth. So as the wave comes into the Earth's magnetic field, the wave breaks down, the orb is dropped, it fuses. Basically, the electrical charge rips up parts of the Earth and fuses to the hollow moon.
Okay. Yeah.
So that is the process. It's part of the Fulgurite theory. It's just that the wave is hitting a magnetic field. It is dropping its orb, which is inside the wave.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you took many photographs of orbs, you'll get the waves and you get the orbs inside them. Every researcher who's ever taken them, even if they all believe they're angels, still get those waves with the
Yeah.
orb inside them, and they will still get them falling out the ends or breaking up.